You want to be a bad customer of the bank, not a good customer of the bank. I'm Jared Dillian, and welcome to the Be Smart podcast, where we talk about how not to be an idiot with your money. Because there's a lot of that going around. Credit card points and miles are the shadiest shit of all time, and we're going to talk about why on today's Be Smart podcast. I'm sure you've seen lots of credit card commercials. Capital One has Jennifer Garner, Samuel Jackson, although those haven't been on in a while. There's Discover commercials. I don't know what else there is. What do they advertise? What are they advertising on these credit card commercials? Points and miles and cash back. They're advertising rewards. Okay. Double points, double miles, 5 times cash back. It's all about the rewards. So everyone is falling over themselves to sign up for the credit cards with the most rewards. That's how they advertise credit cards, is on rewards. Except the rewards just do not fucking matter at all because most people don't even use them and they expire, worthless. So let's do some math here. Let's say you get 1 mile for every dollar you spend on your credit card. So you spend $10,000 on your credit card in a year, you're going to have 10,000 miles. Except it takes 50,000 miles to get to a free flight, which means you're going to have to spend money for 5 years before you get a free flight. And before that happens, the miles are going to expire. So you see how dumb this is? And even for people that spend lots of money, they spend $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 a year, and they rack up lots of points and miles, these rich people that have money to burn, oftentimes they don't get around to spending the points or the miles, and it just expires. Happens all the time. I actually had frequent flyer miles expire on United. And this was like 10 years ago, but I had like 56,000 miles on United, and I was living not near an airport where there were a lot of United flights, and they expired, and that was worth about $500, and it just went down the drain. So I said, I am not letting this stuff expire again. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's like 70% of all credit card rewards expire without being used. Seriously. And people spend so much mental energy thinking about this stuff. I mean, you're constantly making decisions. I'm going to use this credit card to pay for gas. I'm going to use this credit card to pay for the restaurant because this has the most rewards. People spend so much mental energy on this, and it just does not matter. It does not matter. So in general, you'll get 1 to 2% of your purchases back in the form of rewards. So if you spend $10,000 a year on a credit card, then you'll have $100 in rewards. But this is the key point here, okay? If you carry a balance on your credit card, let's say you have a $5,000 balance on your credit card at a 20% interest rate, which is pretty common, 18, 19%. Let's just say it's 20%. You're going to be paying $1,000 in interest on that balance, and you'll get $100 in rewards. Sounds like a great fucking deal. Where do I sign up? I'm out $900. And that's what people do. They focus on the rewards. They get a tiny amount of money in rewards, and then they end up spending multiples of that in credit card interest. Okay, so the rule of thumb here, this is very important. If you carry a balance on your credit card of any size, then it renders the points and miles absolutely useless. The only time you should focus on points is if you pay the balance every month. It's the only time you should care. So I pay my balance every month, and I make sure to use the points and miles. I spend them, okay? So I flew to Connecticut in the fall for my college reunion. I bought 2 tickets, one for me, one for my wife. I spent 120,000 miles or something like that, and I got free tickets. I'm using Amex points to get a room at the Cosmopolitan. I'm going to Vegas with my brother, so I used a bunch of Amex points for a hotel room. I make sure I use this stuff. Now, the one thing to remember about spending miles and points is that you actually end up spending more money in the long run. You see, a lot of people, they think, well, I got a free flight or I got a free hotel room. Yes, that's true. You got a free flight, but now you have to get a hotel. Now you have to get a rental car. You're going to be going to restaurants. You're going to be getting food. You end up spending more money in the long run. So it's not really like you're saving any money. A lot of people will take a trip for the sole purpose of spending miles, and they end up spending more money. It's not saving money. I mean, the one way to look at this is that you're using the points for something fun. Okay, I'm going to take a fun trip and it's going to be a little bit cheaper and I'm better off, and that's that. So, by the way, the frequent flyer programs for the airlines are big money. Like, they're worth billions of dollars. One thing you don't see is credit card companies advertising themselves on who has the lowest interest rate. Have you ever seen a commercial where they advertise that they have a lower interest rate on their card? I have never seen that commercial. Not in the 47 years I've been in this planet. I have never seen a credit card advertised on the basis of having a lower rate. And the reason that is that's where they make their money. They're not going to lower their rates. That's where they make all their money. You know, and the other reason is people can't do the math on the interest rate. People don't have the ability to say, okay, if I'm going to be, paying a 17% rate instead of a 19% rate and I have a $10,000 balance, they can't do the math. So the points and the miles are free advertising for the credit card companies. It costs them nothing, and they get a bunch of people to sign up for their cards. Now, it's not a scam, but it's pretty tricky. You see, a credit card company is a bank. Now, what do I always say about banks? You never want to be a good customer of the bank. Okay, so what is the definition of a good customer of a credit card company? Well, it's somebody who has an $80,000 balance and they pay $15,000 in interest a year and they make their payments every single month and they pay all this interest. That is a great customer of the credit card company. A bad customer of the credit card company is somebody who hardly uses their card at all and pays it off every month. That is an unprofitable customer for the credit card company. That's what you want to be. You want to be a bad customer of the bank, not a good customer of the bank. You see, I like banks. A lot of people don't like banks because of the financial crisis. People are still pissed off about banks 14 years later. So I like banks. Banks have helped me achieve a lot of financial goals over the years, but I have zero interest in making them any more profitable than they already are. Like, imagine you went to Target. You went to Target and you're in the checkout and the bill comes to $250. Okay. And then they say, well, you have the option of paying us an additional $100, just for shits and grins. And you would say, no, I am not paying you any more money than absolutely necessary. And yet people do this with credit card companies over time. The interest that you pay is optional. You are paying that interest on purpose because you want to, because you have a balance. And there's no reason to have it. I know people with $80,000 in credit card debt, which means they're paying about $15,000 a year in interest. Imagine what they could be doing with that money other than paying credit card interest. And the other thing about credit cards is that it's what's called revolving loans. They're not installment loans. An installment loan is your mortgage, okay? You make a monthly payment and it's interest and principal. A revolving loan is, you don't really know. You get charged interest on a monthly basis, and then you get charged interest on that interest the next month, and the interest compounds over time, okay? And you probably heard that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, but not when it's compounding negatively. If you're negatively compounding your net worth, that is like a date with Lexington Steel. And yet this is the trap that millions of people are in. They can't get ahead because they are negatively compounding their net worth, which is not a position I would want to be in. So, as I've said before, I have paid my balance on my credit card every single time in my entire life. my whole life, except for one time. And I had a balance on my credit card, and I said, well, I'll just let this go for a month and see what happens. And I got charged $40 in interest, and I said, okay, well, I don't want to do that again. You know, there's people out there like our friend Dave Ramsey, and he says you should cut up your credit cards and use cash. Close your accounts and just use cash. Just get off the grid. And I say bullshit. That's treating people like children. You're saying you cannot be trusted with a credit card. You're too stupid and irresponsible to be trusted with a credit card. No, a credit card is a convenient way to pay for things. It's much more convenient than cash. And I tell you, over time, it's going to be harder and harder to pay for things with cash because we are slowly moving towards a cashless society. So just don't be a dildo and pay it off every month. And if you can't pay it off, it means you spent too much. And if you spend too much, it means you don't have a budget. So make a budget and stay within your limits. You know, I can teach a lot of things, but I can't teach discipline. You know, you're going to have to learn that yourself. Some people were born with discipline. I have discipline when it comes to mental things, okay? But when it comes to physical things, when it comes to physical fitness, I am the laziest person in the world. By the way, I find this to be very interesting. You know all these CrossFit people? Like they're in peak physical condition. They're just beasts. But I don't know what it is, but they all seem to be in financial trouble. They're all like way behind in their credit cards. They're drowning in debt. I don't get it. They easily have the worst financial situations of anyone I know. They have physical discipline, but they do not have financial discipline. I am the other way around. See, maybe you can recommend to me some podcasts on physical fitness that will get me motivated. You know, I think it's a function. You know, I was a unit from like age 18 to 30, and I just kind of burned out after that. I don't have the energy to work out anymore. Anyway, points are nice, but you have to use them. And remember, when you use them, you're going to end up spending more money in the long run. If you really want to focus on credit cards, how about focusing on not carrying a balance in the first place? Thanks for listening to the Be Smart podcast. And remember, don't forget to leave a rating or a review. See you next time.